Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of All About the Arts and Culture. Let's not forget the culture part. I'm here with our good friends Tom Galvin and special guest host Alex Cecina, live from Boston. Hey, everybody!
Hey,
Hello,
hello,
everybody.
First of all, I just want to
Boston.
thank both of you and our listening audience for sharing part of your Super Bowl Sunday afternoon with us. I know for all of us sports enthusiasts, it's quite a sacrifice. So I meant to get a score update before we went live, and I neglected to do so.
Oh,
But we'll jump on right after this. We'll only take an hour of your time, and by then it'll be deep into the second half. And although I'm afraid we're going to miss the live reading of Amanda Gorman, the young poet
oh,
who wrote and recited her poem at President Biden's inauguration. She's actually reading a special poem at halftime for the Super Bowl. How about that?
that's amazing. Good for her.
Yeah, it's
That's
wonderful.
that's great. Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
good to have that right now, especially. I know we're going to be talking about this in a second, but she's the youth poet laureate for the United States, and this is the first one ever, and it's such an honor. And like to see that in a Super Bowl setting for all these young people who are going to be participating in poetry out loud, I think that's mind blowing.
Pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's great. Also, just as an update for the score, it is 3-0 Chiefs ahead.
Ah, thank you. I know you're quick on it there.
Keeping you up to date.
Yeah.
We'll expect
There's no reason for anybody to watch the game. Yeah, because
No, I got a
yeah.
live sports commentary here going on, and I don't know why it sounded like
Come on, go ahead, try. You've always wanted to. Let's hear the play-by-play.
and they're coming down the field with and the football goes, and they got the pigskin, and it got the 30, the 40. They were going the wrong way apparently too.
yeah, yeah.
No, yeah,
You
that's
had me on the edge of my seat.
I'm really good with the sports ball.
I like
tell
it.
you.
So,
Yeah.
following weird sports news, we can now bring Tom on to talk about some weird art news. Tom, you got something for us this time around?
I have something for you, David, and for you, Alex, and for the wide world out there. I have weird news for what is this? This is 2721. And so let me just start off by wondering. I wonder how much. If can you imagine going to audition after audition after audition, just pounding the pavement, trying to get a job in L.A. or New York, and suddenly, your friend who never had any acting aspirations is a plumber. He's a handsome plumber, and he just happens to be fixing the toilet of a major player in Hollywood. And the next thing you know, he's got a contract and he's in the movies. Just the accidental, it would drive me crazy. And not that I've ever experienced that. I just feel their pain at a distance. And
Thank
so
you.
that's our
Thank you
subject
for
today.
acknowledging that.
Well, I'm working through it, Alex.
Thanks.
It's hard. But I want to just kind of talk about celebrities, people who have made it and how they made it, what happened. And let's just jump right into it. Let's start with our famous lovable, laughable, uh, just salt of the earth kind of guy, Mel Gibson. Uh, he gave his friend Steve Bisley, who I looked up. Steve Bisley. Does anybody remember Steve Bisley?
No.
Well,
No.
I didn't either, and he was in movies, so he's real. He gave Steve a ride to an audition for Mad Max, and surprisingly, Mel had this will surprise you. He had been in a bar fight the night before, and and was spotted. But so he was scruffy looking when he gets in, and the director George Miller spotted him and said, "Oh yeah, wow, that's an interesting face. He'd make a good villain in one of my movies. I'll keep him informed, and I'll keep him." He gave him his card, and he said, "Come back in 3 weeks. We're going to be looking at all these people, the background minor role villains." And Mel comes back, scrubbed up, shaved up. He's healed. The scars are gone, and he's a young Mel Gibson. So he becomes Mad Max. And I don't know about Steve Bisley. I think he actually was in the movie. He became the bad guy. He was supposed to be Max, but he became the bad guy. So Mel became Max, and it took several years to discover that not only was Mel Mad Max, but when Mel was drunk, he was also Mad Mel. So we're going to move on to Johnny Depp, another grounded and casual, kind of easygoing guy. Uh, he came to LA focused on music. He is a good guitarist, and he was focused on music. and the music business when he moved to L.A. But he tagged along with his friend Jack Earl Haley. Anybody know that name? Do you know that
Oh,
name, David?
I do.
And what's his claim to fame?
Um, I just think of him in a lot of creepy roles.
He was Freddy Krueger.
Krueger. Oh, that's
Freddy
specific. Yeah.
Krueger. So
That's,
yeah, so Johnny is driving Freddy to try out for with Wes Craven to Nightmare on Elm Street. I guess he's already got the job, but um, is finalized. Is being finalized, and Mel drives into this, or Johnny drives into this thing, and so Wes Craven notices Johnny and thinks, oh, interesting guy, kind of keeps him in mind. But then his daughter happens to be there and says, you got to have him in the cast. Give him a role. He's dreamy. And so that's how it was. Wes Craven's daughter had a thing for Johnny. And he was dreamy at the time. Of course, following his court battle with ex-wife Amber Heard, Johnny might well be more nightmare than dream.
ooh.
And we have to consider that possibility. So Pamela Anderson, and a lot of people confuse her with her sister Paula, but Pamela was working as a fitness instructor, and who would be surprised? She certainly had the qualifications. She was in Vancouver, and while attending a Canadian Football League game, she happened to show up on the Jumbotron, which flashed her image all over the stadium, which was met with huge cheers from the fans for her stunning looks
Mm.
and maybe more importantly for her Labatt's Beer t-shirt. And truthfully, maybe it wasn't so much the t-shirt itself as it was the shape that the t-shirt was in while Pamela was wearing it, but I could be wrong. Given the crowd response, an executive at Labatt's, who happened to be at the game as well, hired Pamela to be the Labatt's Blue Zone Girls spokesmodel. Blue Zone Girls spokesmodel. Blue Zone Girls spokesmodel. I'm sorry. She's just a girl. Sometimes she looks like two. Blue Zone Girl spokesperson, and I've never heard of that before. I've never heard of a spokesmodel, is what she was. So that claim that led to, of course, that was kind of an intro to fame. And the next thing you know, she's on. She's the Playmate of the Year, and then she's on to Baywatch, and of course, her crowning achievement: sex videos with Tommy Lee. Charlene Theron, is that how you say this? Charlene Theron? How do you pronounce
Charlize. I think it's
Charlize?
Charlize.
I mean,
Charlize.
yeah, I know.
South African woman. Yeah.
You got the last name right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I knew it was Charlize, but I never knew why it was Charlize when Charlene is all I've ever heard. But
Like my mother,
Charlize
Shirley.
Theron, yeah. So she suffered a knee injury that ended her aspirations to be a dancer. So she tried acting, but she was jobless and broke. So her mom, like any good mom would, mailed her some money in the form of a check, but the teller at the bank refused to cash it. So Charlize is engaged in a shouting match with the teller, and she's yelling, "I'll be on the street! You can't do this to me!" And she's yelling, and so a talent agent happened to be in the bank at the same time. I mean, these people are always at the places at the same time. You know, the Labatt's guy, and now the talent agent is there when Charlize is having a meltdown. But he was impressed with her dramatic behavior. He gave her his card, and her acting career was underway. And the teller, as far as we know, still works at the bank. Reaching back in time, before Cary Grant was discovered and was still known as Archie Leach, he joined a troupe of acrobats when he was 14. He later worked as a stilt walker on Broadway. I mean, can you imagine filling out the particular application for that job? And especially if you needed experience, you're 14, well,
I mean, I
you've
think
done
the
this.
only requirement is not afraid of heights.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess he wasn't. So he was a stilt walker. Now, he none of that mattered because he didn't get discovered at all. He went the normal route. He shouldn't even be in this story. He just went and auditioned like everybody else does. But he was cut the first time. He didn't make it, and it took him the second time for Archie Leach to become Cary Grant. And then finally, we had the classic discovery that was Lana Turner, who was discovered sipping a soda at Schwab's. Isn't she just gorgeous? Isn't she the essence of gorgeous? She was at Schwab's drugstore. David corrected me. I said Grauman's. That was a mistake. And that's a Chinese restaurant. I don't know if you can get drugs there or not, but you can get them at
And the
Schwab's.
theater, the Grauman's Chinese theater.
Grauman's Chinese theater, where everybody's got their footprints. And
Right.
So personally sipped plenty of sodas, but I still have my dreams. I haven't made it yet, but who knows? There's always the chance. And with that, I'd like to sing the summary song, if I may.
Oh,
Ah.
I've been wishing for an audition. I'm on a mission to be a star. To be discovered, I must not hover. Undercover, I won't go far. I'll suck sodas at the drugstore. I will mop up the studio floor. I'll get the role my buddy wanted. When you got it, why not flaunt it? I'll keep trying to find a buy-in, not above lying to be a star. Can't find the right place, can't find the right time. I don't think I'm gonna be a star.
Hey.
hey.
Weird news for
Wow.
2/7/21.
Wow. Brilliant. I don't know how you do it. A couple times a month, cranking out an original. Gee.
Well, we're just trying to keep up on the weirder aspects of the art scene, and now I think we should transfer to the more important and serious aspects
Well,
of
but let me ask you, I'm just curious about the process. I mean, how, and now that I've got a regular weekly writing assignment, I can begin to kind of not understand, but I'm more inquisitive. So what is it? So you go along in life and does something just strike you one day that might work for our weird art news and you research it? Or, I mean, truly, what's your process?
I just look for them. I just look up weird news. I put the word out to my nephew who's in film school at USC,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's a weird kid who's brilliant, and he's the source for some of this stuff. I put feelers out to younger people who are tuned into younger things that I don't know about because I'm old, but they keep me
Right.
informed, So they're a good source of fresh news for me, and then I look stuff up myself. But yeah, it's all work. There's no like magic to it. It's just a craft.
Yeah.
Like the
Hey.
songs are just I can write songs fast. But this song I thought was kind of funny. I liked it, but I tried it the night before when I'd been working on other stuff all day, and I wrote another song, and it was like I wrote it and I said, okay, that's good enough. I'm tired. And I looked at it the next day and it was like, this is just not funny.
Yeah.
This funny song has one thing lacking, and it's humor. And
Ah,
so I labored and labored and labored over that. And I looked at it the next day fresh in the morning. I wrote this song in 5 minutes.
really?
Literally, I just got it. I wrote it in 5 minutes, got the chords for it, and the melody line, and that was it. So it's just sometimes you work real hard at the craft, but then you still have those kind of things when, you're just fresh in the
The,
morning, you're operating in your full cylinders.
the artistic epiphany, so to speak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something happens that unlocks
Yeah.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, I
a
can
good
kind of
feeling.
relate because there'll be weeks when I write my little thing on Monday, my paper mache for the paper, and it just comes to you and it just flows. And other days I'm sitting here Wednesday on the keyboard going, oh my gosh, I have nothing to say.
It's
And
always good though. It's
God,
always good, and I haven't told you that enough.
well,
But
you're very kind, but
you, so how'd
uh,
you get through it? How'd you get through that Wednesday?
yeah, I just reached and stretched and kind of find something right in front of me. And, it may not be the biggest or the best or the greatest, but it's enough. And to find that connection about whatever little thing I'm writing about and bring it home to some of the stuff that we're doing in the community in terms of arts and culture, trying to make that connection, like the February piece last Friday, that was sort of I was just dry on Wednesday. And then hey, let's just talk about February,
Yeah,
do you pronounce the R or don't you?
it was so good.
Wait,
Yeah,
And that was
wait.
enough.
yeah.
Now I'm thinking about that. Hold on. February.
February. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
forgot
I don't
what I
like
was
the.
saying. Yeah,
I'm
I
not going to
I
claim it's art like your songs, but it's a writing process and it's an interesting challenge.
I I think you're coming up with good things, but you just identified what it is. You have to do it. So
Right.
you don't have time to wait for inspiration or to
Yeah.
sit on the mountain in the lotus position and get good vibes going. You have to just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, put something on paper.
Get those
I
300 words out.
I've heard of writer's block, but I really don't believe in it. I think it's
Yeah.
just write trash. Write trash till the
Well,
comes up. Write your laundry list. Write something.
always something.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I admire your songwriting acumen. It's just always amazing. So,
Thank you.
oh,
We got a guest. We're doing guests now.
we got a special guest this week. We're very excited. And we should point out, in fact, gosh, apologies to our dear friend Joe Moye, who's usually with us as one of the anchor hosts. And Joe has a long-standing tradition in his family involving the Super Bowl, and kind of like what I had in LA for many years when I lived down there. That Super Bowl party was a thing, and he's socially distancing and they're being very safe, just a couple of people. And Joe's pretty enthusiastic football fan, even though his Bears aren't playing in the Super Bowl. So Joe, we hope your whatever team you've chosen in lieu of the Bears comes through for you.
Have a great time, Joe. And
Yeah.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
So Alex, thanks for filling in the host spot. And we're going to be talking about some of the things you're working on as well. But let's bring on our good friend Shawntay Arroyo, no stranger to YubaSutterArts&Culture fans and enthusiasts of all things arts in the community. Shawntay is our arts and education coordinator, also does a lot of our social media. And Shawntay's kind of taken it upon herself to do a lot of special projects like the most recent 100 Days of Indigenous Artists that she's researched and posted. So, Shawntay, where are you?
Come
on now.
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
All right. Welcome back to All About the Arts and Culture.
Of course. Always nice to be here.
Oh,
It's great to have you in this different role.
you sound good.
Welcome.
Fantastic.
Well, good.
So I've just introduced you as arts and education coordinator and social media manager, and we got lots to talk about in both of those areas. Do you want to just kick it off and talk about some of the great arts and education programs you're in the midst of?
Yes. So first off, we had a Scholastic Art and Writing wrap up early last month, and we had a record number of submissions, which was exciting because we were honestly hoping just for bare minimum. So it was great to have so many students participate and from all over Northern California. So we are hard at work at figuring out what that virtual ceremony is going to look like for everyone. And Kat over here on that side. And we are also hard at work with Poetry Out Loud. Today is the deadline. So I have a bunch of submissions coming my way, video submissions. And as of now, we have about 26 total submissions.
Really? Oh my
Yes.
God. I had an update in a couple of days. Oh,
It's been a while. Yeah, we had a lot of last minute, but about 14 for Sutter County and 12 for Yuba. So
Wow.
we're doing good.
Both counties well represented.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
very high school-esque. Wait until the last minute to submit everything,
Yeah,
Alex,
I anticipated it.
Well, and Alex, he's been very involved in the program before going off to college and then moving to Boston. But he'd been one of our early Poetry Out Loud coaches, and in classroom experts talking about Poetry Out Loud, reciting Jabberwocky to the amazement of the students. And just for those who may not know, Scholastic Writing Awards we do in collaboration with Jessica Haugen at the Sutter County Museum. It's actually Scholastic Art and Writing. Jessica handles the art part. We take care of the writing part. It's creative writing for high school students, as compared to Poetry Out Loud, which is strictly poetry recitation. So, and usually it's all live. We bring 30, 40, 50 kids in from each county on different nights into the theater. Obviously not possible. So as Shawntay said, we were very concerned about participation. So this is it's really just great to hear that the students have come through and we've gotten these kinds of numbers. So we're just so excited.
Yeah, and I have to give a lot of credit to the educators. I had quite a few reach out over the last month and a half or so. And, I have multiple students from all one educator. So they were pulling for us this time around as well. And they're a big reason why, we had so many submissions. So thank you.
Any of our arts and education programs, it's not that we're reluctant. We always talk about it. We push as hard as we can. But we totally understand that it's like, they're so busy and so stressed, particularly this year. It's like one more thing they've got to deal with, just getting students to show up for virtual classrooms. And we've talked to many of them, and it's tough. If you haven't heard, it's really hard out there.
It is.
And especially the last few years, you provide pizza. The theater is packed.
Yeah.
Some kids are just doing a dead walkthrough, and other kids are so full of enthusiasm, and they've rehearsed, and you see this variance of the levels, and it's just a wonderful thing. And so, some of that is going to be lost virtually. So I'm very interesting though to see how you're going to, in lieu of.
That's right. You've judged, Tom, so you know exactly whereof we speak. Yeah.
I've judged and I've emceed a couple times, and I'm just
Hey.
thinking that the baton should now be passed to Shawntay. I think that would be a really good move.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I know the next lifetime.
Shawntay.
Say again, Alex.
I think you've just been voluntold that you're going to be emceeing.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I already this is going to be virtual, but we'll go back in the theater next year, and then I believe you should be what I call David, the major domo.
Oh,
I have no idea what that means.
Shawntay. She's the youthful face of the Arts Council. We're so thankful to have her involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Happy to be here.
What else have you been working on?
Wow. So a lot for social media. There's a lot happening this month with Black History Month. We've partnered with the Village YubaSutter, and we are going to be pushing out some of their content that they'll be sharing. And then we have some of our own content. And in particular, I'm really excited for both campaigns. One is going to be headed by our volunteer, Jalen, and she is going to be working on Black History Month icons. So taking a look backwards in time and finding all of the people who broke barriers, broke the glass ceiling, and really created a pathway for others to follow. And so she's going to be focusing on that. We had our first post just yesterday. Amiri, I'm going to butcher his last name, but Amiri Barker, I believe is how you pronounce it. And he was a wonderful poet. And we have lots more coming throughout the month here. And the other campaign is one that I'll be heading, and that's all to do with our racial equity statement. I think we have an image of that, Alex.
Talk about that. This is, you tell the story, but you crafted it, submitted it to our board of directors who approved it last month at last month's board meeting. What's it about? Why do we care? Why do we need it?
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I can't say I wrote it completely by myself, David. First of all, you helped quite a bit.
You sourced material and put together something appropriate and relevant for our community. Right.
Yes. And what this is just for the organization and for all of us here on the team to really, it was for us to really take a step back and reflect and think about how we can affect change while providing a platform for those who maybe are not are not empowered to do so. And we wanted to create a more inclusive and equitable community. And the first thing you have to do in order to do that is to recognize where the failures are. So it was us recognizing how we could be an organization that could really maybe inspire or encourage others to follow in the same footsteps of doing the work for minority voices, doing the work for marginalized peoples, and just trying overall to make this a better place to live. So really, it's all encompassed in our mission statement. And it says that we are committed to championing policies and practices of racial and cultural equity that empower a just, inclusive, and equitable community. And as I said, it's about critically reflecting, exploring, and challenging systems of oppression that have existed here for a very long time. And that's the first graphic that just went up today, this morning, and that's all on our mission statement. And over the course of the month, I'll be exploring other portions of the statement. So really, I can give everyone a good overview of everything we have to say. And I think the racial equity statement should be available on the website, correct, David, at some point?
It will be, yes, this week. Absolutely.
Cool.
Perfect.
I just have a quick question about that.
Sure.
So has that directly affected the YubaSutterArts&Culture mission statement as a whole? Like, has it been updated to include these remarks now then?
We have not, as of yet, incorporated it, but it absolutely should be, and we'll be addressing it within the next couple of months at a future board meeting. Mm-hmm. It's a board level process.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be, that's a great point, Alex. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I just know, thank you for doing this, Shawntay, and thank you for presenting it and everything. I know when I was looking for a job after I quit Starbucks that I was specifically looking for a company that was doing something like this. So to see my hometown do it and present it in such a authentic way is truly heartening. So thank you for all your hard work on this.
I love
Absolutely.
that last poster. I love the superimposition of the statement over the background.
The gallery.
Of the gallery. I just who's responsible for that?
I am.
Shawntay.
Oh, it's
me.
So lovely.
Yeah,
that's just really a fine image. It draws you in. And,
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the reason.
In the background.
I wanted to, and over the course of the month, every graphic is going to have a different background. So I wanted to really showcase what we've done so far in the past and how, we're kind of melding the past and the future together. That's kind of my my critical analysis of this graphic here.
I just lovely. It's just so visually pleasing.
We're so, I don't know if proud's the right word, but we're anxious to share this kind of thinking with the community and take the leadership role. We're hoping that other organizations from governments on down will take this kind of information, this process to heart, and make it real and make it a critical aspect of what they're doing organizationally. Some of that's probably been done. I don't want to speak as though I know what every organization has done, but I think by setting this example, we can again take that leadership role and provide some insights, and certainly can help with the process if any organizations need that support. So,
right.
Thank you again.
No problem. And I would also just like to say that, this is an open conversation. I would love for people to come forward and talk to us about their experiences and how we can assist in some way, be supportive in some way. And I mean, we're always here to learn. We don't know everything, so we want to learn more as we go along with this.
Well, and you, another case in point, I think, in the work we're trying to do to further this process, you mentioned the Village Yuba Sutter group that's just really getting started. And we're also working with another new group, Yuba Sutter Race Dialogues. I know we've got scheduled, they have scheduled a series of conversations, some focused on topics like raising biracial children, others based on books like Ijeoma Oluo's So You Want to Talk About Race, New York Times bestseller. They've got a whole nother series planned right after this month. So that'll be a series of, I think they're bi-weekly conversations. So again, you can find that information at YubaSutterArts&Culture, and we can connect you with the leaders of that group, Joyce Pope, Susan Allen, Marie Galper, others who are involved. So exciting work, and it's all sort of interconnected, that arts culture thing, and I absolutely love it. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I think that you're addressing that there's a need for this kind of consciousness raising, in a sense, this emphasis on this, that there are disparities and inequities. Maybe some out in the community may not think so, or may think that that we're just a colorblind world. And I think it has to start with the notion that there is a problem. We're aware of it, and this is our response to it.
Absolutely.
And so thank you for your work on this, Shawntay. I think this is excellent. And but I
Great.
expect no less from you.
Oh,
That's
thank
all.
you.
I just expect no less from you.
No pressure. Yeah,
No pressure at all. No.
no pressure. Yeah, this is something that I would have loved to have seen, a decade ago somewhere in the community, because we're a very diverse community, all things considered.
Sure.
We have a lot of people from all over the world here, and even more so now with people coming from the Bay Area and Sacramento. So, something like this, there needs to be something happening. There needs to be action involved. And I mean, thankfully, and hopefully, we get more involved as well.
Yeah.
And that diversity is something not to be taken for granted. I naively assumed that all of our local counties were kind of the same. And I know the demographics like the back of my hand because they're part of every grant application we send in, and we are very diverse. You look at other, our adjoining sister counties like Nevada County and El Dorado, and it's not. It's of course predominantly white, and we have this huge ethnic diversity, which is part of what makes it a wonderful place to live, as far as I'm concerned, because we have baked in. I'm the big city kid from LA and DC, and I just expect that because that's what makes life fun and interesting. And anyhow,
I got this Buckeye T-shirt on from the Buckeye Festival. Now, before moving here 5 years ago, I had never heard of the Buckeye religion, and I, I've been acquainted with something, and I've met these people, and Kay's done some projects with. And I'm forgetting her name, but she organizes the Buckeye Parade. The young woman who's the daughter of
Candace Young, Fresca's Young. Yeah.
Yes. And so it's just, what a wonderful thing to have. And here's a Sikh couple over here, and here's, I'm right down my block. There's the Church Row, you want your Lutheran, you want your Episcopalian. Hey, we got it all. And so I just think that this is something that we can just relish and celebrate. All the opportunities we have to be exposed to people who come from different backgrounds and who have different traditions and different practices, and also have the things that are similar, that make us all just people.
Of course.
So good for you. This is really good.
Shawntay, talk about the 100 days of Indigenous artists. And this is like, in my mind, it's like an art project in and of itself, just the holistic approach you've taken. So tell us about that.
Absolutely. So 100 Days of Indigenous Artists was started last year sometime. I don't remember when, almost 100 days ago, because I think today's day 89. So we are, 98. You're right.
Oh, only 2 more days.
So we only have a few more days, and it's been really wonderful to do the research. It's a lot of research, but it's been great because now I can say I know, well over 100 Indigenous artists off the top of my head. Not necessarily off the top of my head, but I hope, I can remember more than a few. And it's been a wonderful campaign. It was just as much fun to do Black Art Matters last year. And overall, I'm hoping it's opened people's eyes and educated people like it's educated me on the contributions that have been made by these artists. And I mean, I've discovered some really cool contemporary artists, who do amazing beadwork, who quite a few fashion designers, interestingly enough, with beautiful clothing, and different dancers, singers, TikTok stars. We featured Tia Wood, a very prominent TikToker, as well as James Jones. So it's just so great to see that all these Indigenous cultures are still being represented, and they still exist. So many people think that, Indigenous peoples of all kinds are just not in existence anymore. And here they are proving them all wrong. There's so much substance within Indigenous cultures, and to be able to showcase their artwork, it's been wonderful.
So the response is from all age groups in the Indigenous groups, all age groups. Kids are getting into this primarily, or is it span the age span?
All ages. Ages. Great. I'm honestly seeing it. And if you ever get a chance to get on TikTok, there's Indigenous TikTok, and it will show you just how involved teenagers are, preteens are within their cultures, and how much, they consider it an obligation for them to carry on traditions and art. So it's the whole campaign spanned I think over the course of 200 years about. So I went back as far as about 1850 to showcase basket weaving artists, and even to now. So it was wonderful, all ages. We got a little bit of everything, really.
Well, you really did. And I want to say, it's like, there's that obvious stuff like beadwork and basket weaving, and, the wood carvers up in the Northwest that make the totem poles, the Tlingit and the Haida culture, and all of that. But like you said, then the contemporary take where these culture keepers or culture bearers, these young people are still doing that and honoring and recognizing, all that came before in this modern manifestation. That's the really beautiful, cool part about it. So
it truly is, yes. And I think tonight is featuring Rose Bean Simpson, and she's a sculptor, and she's definitely on the younger side, and her work is amazing. I can't wait for everyone to see it. Yeah, exactly, David. It's really gratifying to see so many young artists of all kinds, abstract painters, sculptors, and see how they're interpreting their own culture in modern times.
Yes.
It's very, very cool.
Is this helping you keep your spirits up during the pandemic, Shawntay? Is this like having this involvement just keeping you enthused?
Yes, absolutely. And, the Indigenous side is something also very, very close to me, because it's something I've been exploring within my own heritage as well in recent years. So being able to do something like this campaign, it was really amazing to see how widespread, culture and art and traditions still are within different groups. And it's given me a little bit of hope, because it very much seems sometimes like information is inaccessible. So it's wonderful to see it so accessible in this way.
Now, using this platform, it's the social media platform. It's just like with some of the youth programs, Poetry Out Loud, Scholastic Writing Awards, the ability to engage, a broad audience for these different things. And we don't ever expect everybody to sit around on their phone or their computer all day long, like some of us do. But, when you want to tune in, I know, got to go out and take a walk once in a while or work in the garden. But, when you want to tune in, I'm just, so proud of the quality programming we brought. And this is just another example. It's just what this team has done. And we just love it. Just love it. Anxious to get back, anxious to get the theater open, no question. But,
yes.
We'll do it when it's safe to do so. In the meantime, you're right, though, Tom. It's as far as a therapeutic process. I know it is for me, for all the stuff we do, things like this. This is my big social time for the weekend, It's like, gosh, it's huge. It's a matter of keeping us sane and feeling the creative juices pumping in one form or another. So. Yeah, you do it all the time.
Well, we can create our way into good moods.
Yes,
and we have that choice to make. We can
absolutely
do something to create our way into good moods. There are choices here.
Absolutely.
Here's how this works in terms of the polyvagal nerve. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh wow! Really?
Oh no!
Just
different kind of interview.
Yeah. We just
want to hear more. Do you have any diagrams, charts, or anything?
Yeah, I have charts and I have it all, but that'll cost you quite a bit of money.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Moving right along. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
no.
So we've talked about three separate things going on here. What other things when the pandemic's not going on? What do you do? What's your base of operations, Shawntay? I've worked with you for a long time, but I don't know that because mostly it's been since the pandemic.
This is true. That's a very good point. Wow. So typically what I do is I read a lot. I have a literature degree from Sacramento State. So reading books are my happy place. That's my safe place. So I do that quite a bit. I bullet journal. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that before. But it's a mix of a planner and a journal kind of mishmash together. I do that quite a bit. It's very therapeutic, as you've mentioned. And I do watercolor occasionally, although that's been kind of on the back burner. I need to get into that again. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you write? You read a lot. Does that translate to you also write? Are you a writer?
I was more so back in high school, community college. Right now, I've been focusing a lot more on editing. that tends to be more my space. I love writing for what it is, but I like being able to support other people's writing and be able to help them make it a little bit better, maybe. So that's where I am right now. I mean, who knows? I'm definitely not ruling it out completely. I think I'll probably get back into it eventually.
I'm just really kind of cool, feeling cool because I have heard bullet journal before, because and Alex hasn't, so that makes me feel really. But
You
I've
know
heard
more than I
about.
do about it, Tom. That's new on my front.
I have teenage clients who are who keep bullet journals,
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've heard the term.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to talk about
That's
it more.
I think
Well, probably that's the only thing I know related to it, so I can't
Yeah.
even discuss it. I have no depth in this area, but I did know bullet journal, and I think it's a
Good.
cool term.
you know more than me, Tom. You're much more hip than I am.
I'm not trying to be, Alex, but it's a hard thing. It's
It's
a
hip
hard
to be a
thing for
square,
me.
though. You know,
Yeah.
you're doing great.
But you're just making an entry. There's something going on, and then there's comments, and there's some reflections of your mood, or something that's significant to that point in time of that entry. But it's
Right.
also keeping you, I've got to be here at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. Is that?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
Speaking of your writing, I want to talk about Real Book Society too before
Oh, of course.
Yes.
as we start to go through other things that are coming up in the next 2 weeks. But I have to apologize. You wrote that beautiful press release that keeps getting reiterated in the Appeal Democrat. Our friends at the Territorial Dispatch gave me the byline. And your name was all over it. Now I sent, and they're used to doing that. It was an honest mistake, so apologies for that. But if anybody saw the great article in the Territorial Dispatch, it was by Shawntay Arroyo, not David Reed. So, but to the point of your writing, because you wrote this great press release, and I want you to do more of those if you want to, because
Absolutely.
Shawntay is being humble. She's a great writer. So
I was trained very well for it.
I lost something. Your press release regarding what?
it was about the Real Book Society
Oh, okay.
program that Shawntay has created and is about to implement for the first time. Talk about Real Book Society.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Real Book Society, not your traditional book club, but it is a book and film club. And because obviously with social distancing, we are doing it currently on Discord, although I hope for it to be an in-person program very, very soon once it's safe. But what it is we read a book and then watch a film adaptation of that book. And we kind of combine the two forms of entertainment and art and really just see exactly what we can come up with. Because as I've told David, something that I firmly believe in is, if you're going to read something and you can also watch it in some capacity, it's great to be able to kind of compare, contrast, and see, exactly what you can find that you wouldn't normally have found just reading it. So a big example of this that I can give is, Shakespeare's play. I enjoy watching Shakespeare's play. I can't say I'm the biggest fan of sitting and reading them for hours on end, but it needs to be watched. You need to be able to see it on a stage with actors portraying the characters, or you're missing half of the story, really. And so this is kind of following along that same line of thinking of, we have to read it and then we're going to watch it and let's see what we can discuss. So yeah, we just started this month.
That's a great example. Yeah.
Exactly.
Really brings it to life.
Right.
So what's the entree? What's the entree for this?
Okay. So
With this?
yeah, so getting involved is as simple as emailing me, Shawntay@YubaSutterArts.org, and I will give you a quick rundown of everything as well as the books we're reading. So this month we started with Emma, and we just finished the first week, and people are all over the Discord chat and talking about it, and we had a check-in, and some people are finding it kind of difficult to get into it because of the very different way of storytelling within that book. Jane Austen could be a little tricky for some people, I think, because of that. But overall, we're sharing information with each other. I have a wonderful co-host, London Donson, who's helping me post on there. And the group is small, but it's mighty. So I think it's going to be really, really great.
Excellent.
Another great program.
Yeah.
Another one.
So much. All right. Shall we talk about some more things coming up?
There's more?
But wait, there's more. I have to get into costume. I'll be right back.
Oh,
So, well, first of all, I think David's transitioning in this whatever silly thing he's doing. I don't know. Silly buggers. I don't know what he's doing, but so I'm going to officially thank you for sharing all that you're doing with us, and thank you for doing it. That's great. I think we're moving into what's going on in the arts right now. Is that what David's up to here?
That's
But
right.
Oh.
thank you so. Okay.
I love
What?
it.
Oh, nothing.
I love it.
I have no shame. You know that about me, right?
It's attractive. It's
All in service to the arts and culture.
It's on brand.
picturesque.
It's very on brand for you, David.
Yes,
That's
it is.
no, thank you. Oh gosh, you've learned that about me. Well, since you asked, why am I wearing the red lavender and the
why
arrow?
are you wearing that, David?
Well, I want to talk about our big Halloween. What month is it? Valentine's Day Eve event called Loving Out Loud, Valentine's Eve readings. So a number of us in the community are going to read or recite a couple of their favorite love poems. I, of course, will be doing with sonnet and another poem to be announced. But yeah, Thor and Kathy Campbell are reading. Alex, are you reading?
I am not this time.
You're not? Okay.
I'm
Shawntay is reading.
I'm without love currently, so I'm like, I'll skip
Yeah,
this
that's
one.
all right. Okay. Tom, are you involved in this?
I'm reading Fern Hill by Dylan Thomas.
Oh, you're doing the Dylan Thomas. That's right.
Hey.
I'm doing W.H. Auden's Lullaby.
Oh, fabulous. All right. So that'll be exciting. Just a little something, just half hour, 45 minutes, couple of readings by some really neat people in the community. Love poems, something that means something to each individual. And you can tune in to that on February 13th at 7 p.m. for actually a live program. This is not, I think mostly, maybe one or two, but mostly a live recording. And enjoy that. Add that to your Valentine's Day weekend celebration.
Yeah.
And then, this is not even on the on the schedule because this was kind of something that came up late. On President's Day, we were inspired by we were just talking about Amanda Gorman, the young woman poet who wrote and then recited her poem at President Biden's inauguration. Well, that caused us to research poets reading at presidential inaugurations. And I did not know there have actually been, I won't quiz you, there have been 6 presidential inaugurations that have been graced with a poet reading a poem, usually written for the occasion. The first one, however, was Robert Frost. It's kind of a sad tale. He'd written one for President Kennedy's inauguration, but it was so bright, he didn't have it memorized. He literally couldn't see it. He was 80-something at that point, 1961. And so he wound up reciting another poem from memory so he could get through it. And have since been 5 more. Interestingly, 2 for President Clinton, of course, Maya Angelou being one of them. I don't remember the other poet.
Miller Williams.
Thank you. Okay, look at you.
There we go.
And then, all right, for extra credit, for President Obama, he also had a poem read at each of his 2 inaugurations. And then, of course, Amanda Gorman at President Biden's. So 6 total. So we're going to show all of those videos of all 6 of those readings by poets at those inaugurations. And a little something special, our dear friend, Congressman John Garamendi, is going to be doing a introduction for our program.
Oh, wow.
So he'll be kicking it off, and then we'll show those 6 readings. And that's on President's Day, and I'm sorry I forget the time, but it'll be all over social media. Watch for it. It'll be kind of a fun half hour. It's about a 30-minute program. So we're so thankful to Congressman Garamendi for offering to help.
Yeah,
that's great. Wow.
Will he be president? Can we
I don't know. I was going to say
about that. Any rumors?
Yeah, I think he's decided to stay in his lane. He does a pretty good job where he is. So we're thankful. Ongoing service. So So that's that. And then another a huge thing later that week, as many of you know, February 19th each year is a special day for all of us, but especially the Japanese American community, called Day of Remembrance. February 19 marks the day in 1942 when President Roosevelt signed the Executive Order 9066 that basically wound up in the incarceration of 120,000 Japanese Americans, most of whom were citizens, by the way. And they were hauled off, taken from their homes, or left their homes, required to leave their homes, sell or give away their possessions, or leave them to fortune, and were shipped off to concentration camps. And they call them concentration camps. So I've chosen to use that word. Anyway, we have a local piece of that history here in just south of Marysville. Arboga on Broadway was the site of a migrant farm workers camp in the 1930s. It was converted in 1942 to a temporary assembly center. So we're building a Day of Remembrance event around the fact that we have just completed turning it into a memorial site and interpretive center with sculpture, murals, QR codes with video recordings to tell some of the story, a lot of information at this site on Broadway. So we'll have interviews with clips from, in fact, George Takei, whose family was interred at Tule Lake. These are pieces that are available online that we've been able to acquire, along with some live interviews with some local folks like Lon Hadamiya, who many of you know. He's held a position in state government in business or commerce, and has gone on to do a consulting firm. He does a lot of work here locally with Yuba Water Agency, Marysville High School graduate. He'll probably be the keynote speaker for our Day of Remembrance event. And he, in fact, wrote his senior thesis at Harvard on the economic impact of the camps on Japanese Americans during the war. So I just learned that from him today. So exciting. That's going to be live streamed on February 19th, 6 p.m. at YubaSutterArts Facebook page and YouTube channel. So pretty neat stuff. So lots going on, and we're very, very proud of that. So
it occurs to me that so much of what, David, you just presented and that Shawntay is working on, the culture part of YubaSutterArts&Culture is really coming to the fore. And there, of course, it's all blended with the arts and indigenous artwork. But what's our culture, and how inclusive are we, and how much do we recognize differences and celebrate them? And it's just that I really think I hope that YubaSutterArts continues to just up the ante on its cultural involvement, and how much those two things speak to each other, inform each other, the arts and culture, and how
yes.
they are interchangeably, exponentially growing each other. So yeah, I think it's.
No, you're absolutely right, Tom. And when you see the park, the memorial site, these sculptural elements that were created by Dan Turner and his students at Yuba College that represent the barracks, these harsh metal structures. And of course, the site was designed by Stuart Gilchrist. He's an artist and designer, and now, of course, Marysville City Councilman. And this collaborative project, there were so many great people were involved, and there is that artistic element in helping to tell that story of what went on at this place. So it's powerful stuff.
Good to remember.
Yeah, so you'll be hearing more about that. We'll be unavoidable as usual on social media. And that's what I like to remind our sister arts and culture organizations of that. It's work, and I'm blessed to be able to do this full time, but as are the rest of our staff. But we have to keep that steady drip going. It's like out of sight, out of mind, and it's just you got to be there. You got to continue. You can't just check in and out every couple of months. I think that's an important part of it, consistency, I guess. So
yeah.
We're happy to help do
that. Alex said you were going to tell us a little bit about some projects you're working on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you.
You have a few minutes to talk about that?
Yeah, if we got a second too.
we do.
If we're talking all about this culture, I'll bring in the art topic too to this.
There you go.
We are putting on a production of the show Songs for a New World. Now, you probably don't know what that is if you're like, Songs for a New World. What's that? It was actually an off-Broadway production in 1999, I want to say, written by Jason Robert Brown, who also wrote The Last 5 Years, or The Bridges of Madison County, or Parade, if you're familiar with any of those. Wonderful, wonderful composer. This is a song cycle that he wrote, all about just different points in people's lives and the things that entails and encompasses. So I will be performing. Gay Galvin is our music director, and she is working up a storm trying to get all these tracks together. Because I'm in Boston and everyone's socially distanced, so we need to have the music and be able to record all that. So it has been quite the process learning how to get all that to everyone and get everything together. But it is coming together, and we are super thrilled to be able to present that. That is going to be happening at the end of March. And it is going to be a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful production. If you enjoy musical theater at all, this is like exactly like the piece that you've been missing. Like it's great. It's great watching like full on like movie musical productions and everything. However, there's just something about like people that or like a live performance where they're like giving it their all, that just you can't match. So I'm super excited to be able to present this. I've been wanting to do this for, I would say, at least 15 years. And yeah, I'm just super thrilled to be able to do it.
So what about the music? What is it that really grabs you? Because it's not, like you said, much of a storyline. When I've seen productions online, it's kind of minimalist anyway, right? So it sort of works this way.
Yes. And that's the wonderful part about it. We don't need giant sets. There's not a lot of there's not a big tap dancing number in Act 2. So we can skip that part.
Great songs.
It's just great songs. The composer himself is noted to be like the modern Stephen Sondheim. So he's jazzy, and he has that dissonance that you kind of get from Sondheim, but it still is definitely more melodic than Sondheim. And his lyrics are just on point, and it hits you right in your soul, and it's poignant to whoever watches it, and that's truly the coolest part about it.
I'm hearing it piece by. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shawntay.
No, I was just gonna say I'm so excited because as someone who always used to go to live theater, whatever I could find here, I go to the acting company quite a bit. This is great. I missed it so much.
I've been hearing these songs a little piece by piece, instrument by instrument, as Gay learns them and assembles them for the other. And I should shout out, and I'm forgetting Rich's last name, but she's working with the drummer on this production, who also is working his tail off to get these things just right, the rhythm section for all the singers. But these songs kick butt. They're fun. They get you moving. They get your blood rushing. They get your feet tapping. It's really fun. It's fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I think you'll have a great musical ride if you tune into this. So don't want to steal your thunder, Alex, but it was a great idea.
Who else is involved?
We have Matt Demerit, who, if you know, is currently the theater director at Marysville Charter Academy, and who has a long history working here in the community through Faith Christian, and his father, Paul. Yeah, he's wonderful. Truly a wonderful actor. He was actually probably one of my early acting inspirations. So the fact to get to work with him in this capacity is kind of cool. And then we also have Kelly Cunningham, who is a tremendous singer. She's truly wonderful. And just like there are songs that are literally perfect for her. Her voice is going to shine and just soar with these songs. And I'm super excited also for Janet Fry.
I'm good.
The character actress that she is, literally, we could not have asked for somebody better to do some of these songs. She gets to be the most dramatic, and it's just live her dreams and multiple roles. Not Janet being dramatic.
Can't imagine.
What? Never. So yeah, it's truly, we have an all-star cast. It's only the 4 people, and you'll see us. Again, very minimalistic, and it'll just be us presenting all of these and singing our hearts out. So
4 huge talents, and really, all of you make me smile. When Matt Demerit comes on, he's just such a bright presence. His appearance makes people smile, I think. So
yeah,
and all of you have that brightness and that up-tempo attitude. It's going to be just a fun show.
Oh yeah, he's got that charisma that'll just knock you right out. Like
Mhm.
you can't look away.
Yeah.
And then the musicians, we've also got Rebecca Hood Sava on cello,
And Bill Tomes on violin, and he's going to be fiddling up a storm. Depending on how much whiskey he's had, obviously, whether
Well,
it's
yeah,
violin or
yeah.
fiddle.
well, that's how you tell the difference,
Yeah.
What's the difference
how much
between a fiddle and a violin, a bottle of whiskey, right?
Hey. But yeah, and then Gay and Rich. It's just going to be truly, truly amazing. So yes, please plan on tuning in. It's going to be great. End of story.
We'll be keeping you informed about that. I think we're winding down now. We're in our last few seconds of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up next month. So we're putting all the music together, and then there it goes.
Excellent. Shawntay, thank you so much for the interview and for all you're doing. Alex, it was great to have you on. Please, keep up the great work you're doing out there, and keep bringing all this stuff back to your hometown. It's great. David, I'll see you soon, right?
Always a pleasure, Tom. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.